hoping that they do check me out because, you know, I mix my personal and my business on Facebook just because I want people to think and know I'm real, you know, and I'm not perfect. And I don't have this fake, you know, facade at all. Like, this is what you get, and this is what I do. So, you know, not everybody's gonna love to see me hanging off rocks in a Jeep, but you know, a lot of people are, and those are the people I want to attract. So I want to attract people that I want to work with, you know. So if they do like me and like what I do and love the dog park and love tacos, you know what I mean? I want to be, you know, friends with them, and I would help them with whatever they need help with.
Good afternoon, everybody. It looks like we are live on Facebook, and we're back once again to talk to the people from StreetText and get a whole bunch of great, amazing information about how to better use their product and how to better increase your business. So just a couple of quick reminders for everybody. If you have to leave in the middle of it or you want to watch this over again, this will be on the Lab Coats YouTube channel, and we will, you know, for your viewing pleasure moving forward. So thanks everybody for being here today. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pass it over to Ira to kind of do an introduction about what we're going to do today and get us moving forward. So.
For sure. I think today what we're going to talk about is, you know, we're in a crazy market. Like, we hear from a lot of people, like, they're like, my market's crazy. And I'm like, no, we hear from everybody. Everyone's market is crazy. So when your market's crazy and, you know, it's sometimes harder to work with buyers, we sometimes have to think outside of the box about how we're going to meet people, how we're going to create conversation. And we invited Wendy on here as one of our amazing realtors in Las Vegas, who's kicking butt all the time and sharing how she's doing it. Because she has come up with some awesome, like, she's done some matchmaking. So it's like, I have all these buyers that need something, and I have the leads coming in from buyers from my Facebook ads. I have sellers that I need to satisfy my buyers. What if I started to kind of look at off-market stuff and started to look at some people that I have and let them know I have someone primed and ready? So we wanted to kind of talk about how, one, you can open up a funnel using Facebook ads to create relationship with buyers and sellers. And then possibly, like, part of what we do in real estate is relationship. Introduce people to people that might be able to meet a need for them. So Wendy's awesome and great at that. So we're excited to kind of share on that today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, it's really funny because I feel like we get stuck sometimes in the way we've done things. And the people who are crushing it right now are going, this way doesn't work in this market. This way doesn't work. So I love the idea of, hey, why don't we try and just figure out how to get these two people together? We got a group of people who want to sell, a group of people who want to buy, and how we're going to get them together. So that's exactly a great way to describe it. And, you know, we're not Match.com, but that's okay. We're doing the same kind of thing on a different level. So how about you, Troy? Any thoughts on that before we move forward?
I love how you you highlight like thinking differently, especially when we're, you know, the market's always going to change. It's going to shift, it's going to ebb and flow. Sometimes the things that we were doing even last month need to be a little bit different now this month. And so it's always like good to kind of think outside of the box, try something new, try just a different angle on things, and then have fun with it. I think that's one of the things that I'm excited actually to have Wendy on here, is because she has fun, right? She has a lot of fun with just real estate. She also has a lot of fun in her own personal life. I can, you know, stalking her on Facebook and watching her in her big giant Jeep going over big giant boulders that I would be terrified to go over, trust me. But, you know, and so she brings that fun also to her business and to her potential clients in there. And that's, you know, kind of that important thing. She has this personality that people can connect with. And I think that's also like a big thing. We were just talking before this started, and, you know, Winnie's going to highlight a lot of tools that she's using, but at the end of the day, a tool is a tool. And it's how you use that tool, and then how you interject relationship in there, how you get a conversation started. That's going to make the big difference with any tool you use.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody in the industry has great tools. That's not the thing that's really holding people back. It's how am I taking those tools, using them in my business? And I heard you say something, Troy, that I really love. How do you put yourself into this? Because that's what this is really about. If I'm going to go out and be fake, that will work and that'll get some people in, but then I'm going to have to be fake all the time. We don't have the emotional energy for that, in my opinion. So I love the authenticity that Wendy has, and I love that's what we're going to do. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Wendy and give us an idea of what we're doing here, and we're going to steal all your ideas and go out and crush it. So thank you for sharing today.
Perfect. I'm correcting my name real quick. I guess I should have done that first. Anyway, yes, I'm in Las Vegas and loving it. And as Troy was saying, every market is crazy, and we have about 19,500 agents here and about 3,500 listings and a ton of buyers that we need listings for. So anyway, yeah, I have a great matchmaking story. I have an FHA buyer. I work with all kinds of buyers, and first-time home buyers are actually my favorite because there's so much, emotional feelings with it. It's not just about the numbers, investors, and stuff like that. But so they got beat out about 3 times on from cash buyers, and in this market, we have a lot of people relocating here that have a lot of money. And so they're up against those people. And I feel horrible. We're trying to be strong, but with an FHA buyer, they don't have, $50,000 above appraised value that they can come to the table with, and so I was, they're just desperate to find something. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. I have a whole database full of sellers on the fence, from StreetText. I've been with StreetText since 2019. So my database is very, very full. I'm keeping all of these people updated on their home's value. And I remember this one guy in the neighborhood we're looking at, and he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to sell until my home hits 300,000. And so I've been keeping him updated. I think he was in StreetText 9 months prior to. And then I pulled comps again, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're there. We could get 300 for his home. And at the same time, Zillow was saying his home's only worth 242. So it was kind of exciting to show him that that's not correct. And I shot him over an email. I just said, hey, remember you said you wanted at least 300 before you'd sell? I said, I could get you 300 and I have a buyer. So he's like, okay, come over. So I went over there, I talked, I looked at the house. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Exactly what they're looking for. And, we made a deal right there. The buyers came in, looked at it the next day. They loved it and we closed. So everybody got what they wanted. He got money, they got a house, and everybody's going to live happily ever after. So I love that. And so that kind of made me dig a little bit more, as far as how I can find, people in those areas. And we had an awesome agent, Josh, hop on one of our StreetText masterminds. And he was talking about how to put them all into a Google map, so that you can kind of see, where all your potential sellers are. So I uploaded all of the StreetText, all of the YLOPO sellers, and then all of my past clients that bought, because they are potential sellers. You never know if they want to sell. So all of them are on this map. Do you want me to go ahead and share?
Please do. We'd love to see your map. And, I got this idea a couple of years ago, similar from our illustrious leader. Tristan has done this for a while with, putting people on that map. And it's really a great visual as you pull it up, because it gives you an opportunity to understand how some people interact. Like, I'm not a visual person, it's not my thing, but someone who's visual is like, holy smokes, look at all those opportunities right there, versus, oh, I've got a list of 20 people and I would just fall asleep. So understanding how to communicate with people, and this is a great way, because 70% of people are visual learners, in case you guys didn't know that. So amazing way to take a look at this, Wendy, but I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it is, and so this is Las Vegas. Obviously we had listings out in Moapa, Pahrump, but for the majority, Las Vegas and Henderson is where we do business. So yeah, if we had someone interested over here in Summerlin, I just go over in this area, pull them all up in my database and see, what price range, or did they have a pool, or you know what I mean? You can tell just by pulling up all the information there. So I do like this visual part. If you don't want to deal with putting them all in a map, you should be able to hop into your database. This is follow-up box, and sort. You can bring in we have 22,000 people in here. You can go in here and say, okay, I want to pick all my StreetText people in 89052, and it will bring them up here, so you could put in a zip code, you could put in an area, you could put in a city, and then it will pull up all of your potential people here. So I love that, and we are going to start doing that a lot more because it's kind of huge, if we have buyers that are struggling getting their offers accepted or finding properties because there's just nothing out there, then we can reach out to these people. And then the cool thing is you can reach out to these people and say, but I have a plan. So, I have a buyer for your house, but then also I can reach out and do the same for you guys. What area are you looking in? What are you looking for? And then it just kind of keeps going, and it kind of feels like you're playing God at that point. And it feels good when it actually works. It is kind of stressful, you don't want to leave anybody homeless. But yeah, it definitely is pretty awesome. So
I think what's awesome about that is, Wendy, here, StreetText leads are coming in from just a common Facebook ad that people have great success with it. It's simple. It's people asking for a home value. So you've started a conversation around their home value, and the winning strategy for anybody who's going to be successful is follow up, continuing conversations that you once started about something that has meaning to that person. So what Wendy's doing is she's creating an excuse to reach out to leads that she's already been talking to. And that's something we often forget. Like, we assume that when the lead came in 4 months ago and wasn't interested, that one, they told us a true story, that they weren't actually interested. And that two, that their circumstances or their timeline hasn't changed. Life hasn't changed. They don't have new things happening. So the value of keeping tabs on these people, one, just presents you as such a professional. Like, if Wendy called me up and said, hey, I have this happening and I wasn't ready, and then she called me up a month or two later again, hey, just seeing where you're at, it just says so much about her level of professionalism and wisdom in the industry that you already concreted me. And this business is a relationship business. So I know Wendy in the past has explained that somebody came in as a refinancing on an ad, and one of her team members said, hey, it's a refinance. Do you really want to go out to this person's house to talk to them? And she's like, they clicked on an ad and they asked for their value. And I'm a person of my word, so I will give them their value and I'll go to the appointment. And she did. She went to the appointment. The person had no value in it at the time. Maybe you need to reach out again, Wendy. It's been so many months now. But she had no value at the time, but she introduced her, was it to her daughter that ended up being a buyer? Mm-hmm. So you never know with these excuses to reach out. You might not be able to do the matchmaking, but the process of pulling the matchmaking together puts you in someone's vision again, shows that you're on the game. Even if you, we've all tried to matchmake people in our lives and it didn't work out, right? You should know this person. No, it was a horrible date, Ira. That was a horrible suggestion. I'm defriending them on Facebook. But in the process, you get to meet a ton of other people. So that's the key. This is a good excuse to reach out to leads that you've had in your database for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and go ahead, Wendy.
Yeah, we just put one in escrow, and it was kind of exciting because it was actually my very first appointment for StreetText in 2019. And it wasn't, it just wasn't the time for him. He didn't have enough equity. He was going to have to come to the table with money. So we got it leased and set up a follow-up for when the lease expired. We would follow up and see where the value was. And our market is so crazy right now that I was super excited to tell him, I'm like, hey, you need to give your tenants a notice because we are ready to, get this on the market and you're going to make money this time. So, and I think we tried to sell it for like 320 the first time, or that was the number it was coming in, and he wasn't going to make anything. And he just couldn't afford to close at that point. So we put it on the market for 350 this year. And 45 showings later in one weekend, we put it on Friday, 45 showings later, 21 offers later, we got 395. So it's just kind of crazy that, and he is so excited. But yeah, it's keeping in contact, and letting them know where their value is all the time, like several times a year, because it's changing by the minute here and everywhere. So yeah, good stuff. Relationship.
So are you changing your scripting at all, Wendy? So let's just say you got a brand new lead that maybe fit the needs for one of your buyers. So are you changing some front end scripting on some of that? And let's assume it's a full lead. For those of you who aren't familiar with StreetText, you're going to sometimes get leads that don't have phone numbers, and we can append some data and do some different things. But let's assume you got a name, phone number, email address, address. Are you going to change that? Are you going to approach that? Because when we bring value on the front end versus I want to sell your house, I want to sell your house, has that changed for you? And what kind of reaction are you seeing from these people when you're calling and say, I have a buyer who wants to buy your house? What kind of reaction are you getting versus I want to come list your house? So.
Right. Yeah. It's a totally different conversation. It's actually pretty amazing because, everybody can say, let me sell your house. This is what I do. I'm amazing, but not everybody can say, we have someone for your house. So when you have that conversation with them, and show them the numbers, and obviously, we give a small discount if we find our own buyers. So that saves them, a ton of money. And then we make sure that they have some sort of rent back so that we can, make sure they're not homeless, because that's what a lot of the sellers are scared about. So we do talk about that a lot also, because it's important. Everybody could say, you have a ton of equity, you want to cash in, but they're freaking out. It's like, okay, I can make $100,000, but then what? Where am I going to go? There's nothing on the market. So you have to address that. So my scripts change all the time just because the market's changing all the time. So absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to back it up a little bit with that, because I think that's an important piece in there. And not to glaze over what you just showed, but a lot of people might be wanting to be like, oh, what was that map thing? Well, for anybody that's out there, if you just go mymaps.google.com, you can actually make your own maps where you can drop pins. Everybody probably has a CRM that they can export their leads from. You're going to have those addresses with you. With StreetText, we run a seller ad to generate seller leads, right? So they enter their information, they enter their address, and hopefully their name and phone number and everything. But you could export that as a CSV file, upload it into mymaps.google.com. It'll plot out all those little things. What's cool is what Wendy's talking about there, and getting a conversation started. I mean, she's providing a home value that, they're asking for, and maybe they're getting excited because, oh my gosh, look at the money I can make in this market. But she's also addressing that little question in the back of their mind and going, well, will I be homeless, right? This is all great, but I know it's also hard to find a home. Am I going to be able to find that home? Well, really quick way, you can follow up, provide a home value, and now follow up with that exactly. And I believe you have that in there, Wendy, is you can show them, be like, hey, one of the questions a lot of people ask, and this could be even just for those people that are curious, those that are on the fence, maybe they're not quite ready, is that will I be able to find a home in this? Well, I just like to show you right now, this is a current list of people in the last month that are potentially interested in listing their home. Is there a place that you would like move? And then now we're talking about that matchmaker, right? So this person might have been on the fence, selling their home, but they see that there is potential homes that they could buy, and even homes that they, that meet their criteria. and they get excited. Well, great, let's get you contacted. Now you play that whole game, and you kind of, which is fun, and it's a conversation as well, right? So you're giving them information, you're caring for them, and you're kind of showing them, hey, I totally get that. I just want to let you know that this is also what I do in the background, and I can find you a home, and we can make this work. And yeah, so opening up that conversation so you can get that relationship started is so important.
Right. And when you go out there and meet with them because of this, they already know this is what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because if you're reaching out to me because you have a buyer, they know you're going to be reaching out to other people because they're going to be a buyer. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're saying something that's not really happening. You're saying, I do this for you. I'm going to do it, again. So, and maybe like the map would help them see, these are all the people I could reach out to if you're interested in this area, that aren't on the market. So, which might save them a lot of money for going $50,000 to $100,000 over list.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to just the whole topic of conversation here, which is a matchmaker. Like, is it just matching somebody to a new, like, possible listing before it's on the market? Or like Wendy finds creative ways to match people to knowledge and to wisdom about the value of their property. So even to services in your area. So we talked about, like, you got this request for a home value. How do you over deliver on that? Like, how do you also say to that person, hey, like, if you're looking into things and you're probably like, you're in a situation where you're not ready to move and you need some services done, how can I hook you up with those services and some of the trusted contractors in our area? And like, is there anything I can help you with that way? Like, we become a conduit, we become master networkers for like just people in general. So the more people like, what does that look like to your client base when you start referring your client base to local businesses? Like, it's all about the people in your community. So matchmaking goes far beyond just our real estate like needs. How do you match people to needs in their area? And how do you keep in their kind of inbox, literally in their inbox, and friending them on Facebook to stay friends on Facebook? So they start to see, like, if you're friends with Wendy on Facebook, like, I know Wendy, but I don't know Wendy. Like, I've never come to Las Vegas, but I want to, because she has a pretty awesome Jeep and she has a cool personality about the way she does life that comes across on Facebook. So how do you start that matchmaking and find creative ways to keep in people's sight lines, to keep in their heads, to occupy that influence part of their brain when it comes to real estate in your area? And Wendy's really good at that.
Yeah, I banked on that, hoping that they do check me out, because I mix my personal and my business on Facebook just because I want people to think and know I'm real, and I'm not perfect. And I don't have this fake, facade at all. Like, this is what you get, and this is what I do. So, not everybody's gonna love to see me hanging off rocks in a Jeep, but a lot of people are, and those are the people I want to attract. So I want to attract people that I want to work with, so if they do like me and like what I do and love the dog park and love tacos, you know what I mean? I want to be, friends with them, and I would help them with whatever they need help with. So
You had me at tacos.
You had me at tacos. That's awesome. So, Wendy, I'd like to ask you a couple more questions if that's okay. So, one of the things that I could hear people objecting about is, could that seller get more money if they put their house on the market? And the answer probably is yes, by the way. So, how are you addressing that with sellers? Like, what's the rest of the value for them so that they can look at it? Because I think sometimes as real estate agents, we look at this. The only thing that matters is the bottom line, how big's the check that the seller gets. But that's so not true. Like, it's not always what they want. I heard you basically talk about rent back. What are some other things that you're showing as a value to that seller so they go, you know what? Yeah, maybe I get a couple $1,000s less for my house, but it's completely worth it. So talk about some of that stuff so that some of our audience can have some of those ideas as well.
right. So not to sound like Zillow or Open Door, but if you had your own buyer, they wouldn't have the home invasions That's what they say. It's funny. Anyway, but, you know, so they wouldn't have to go through showing their house 45 times in a weekend. You know what I mean? Even though that's not hard to do, just go camping. We'll take care of it. But they wouldn't have to do that. You know, they know that they already know and trust you, so that you're going to be taking care of both sides and make sure things don't fall apart. And then, and that, you know, that you already have a buyer that's in love with their property, and buyers that are actually going to live in their home are going to be more solid than, you know, investors trying to buy the house up, you know, because, you know, they may send in a good offer, but then once they get past the home inspection and ask for $5,000 or $10,000 off, you know what I mean? Hopefully we wouldn't be making that happen because we educate our buyers on this market, and that's not the way it is. Anyway, and then of course, I show them the numbers. You know, if you're going to pay the other side, once we put it on, it's going to be an additional, you know, $10,000 to $12,000. I don't know how much your market is, but anyway, so they would save that way as well. So, I mean, you know, I bring up all those points and they seem to like that. So.
Do you believe that potentially you're going to get some listings out of this? Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say occasionally you're going to show this house to me and I'm excited about it, and I get there and go, it doesn't work for me. So that doesn't mean I abandon the seller and,
Oh, no.
you know, so, you know, what kind of conversations are you having after that? Because I think it's an important thing to understand too, is this might actually get that seller who's like, no, I'm not selling. They walk in and go, well, maybe I will. So are you having some of that experience, and tell us a little bit about what that looks like, and are you getting some listings potentially from it?
Right. So yes, you always have that as a backup plan because not everybody's going to want to do that. But just I bring all my tools to show them, you know, what we can possibly do, you know, if they decided to sell with me. And then we have other reports that we show them that, you know, we have like in your area, we have a whole report that we pull out of our database through YLOPO. That shows them that we have 243 people looking for your home in your area, you know, that we would reach out to immediately. And then we do a lot of Facebook target ads to California because we know they're selling one house and buying 3 here. So, you know, not everybody is a fan of that, but I work for the seller and I want to make sure they make the most money because the more they make, the more I make. So we go through that as well. So yes, it is still a good listing possibility, but obviously I start out with the matchmaker.
And I think when you start that process, you open people's mind up to the opportunity. So, hey, I have someone coming over to look at the house. I actually start thinking like with my wife about, okay, if we sell it, like what is our next step? And we start getting excited about that process. So when the seller comes in or when the buyer comes in, and it's not a match for them, you've already heightened my awareness to the idea that I'm prepping to leave to my next step. So there's still an open conversation. So when they're disappointed that it wasn't as smooth, because probably the appeal was, oh, I don't have to go through the hassle of listing. I don't like, it met a need for them, which was just to be able to check this off and just move out, not have to do all of the steps that come up in between, just to move to the next step. So then my job as an agent is to go in and have a conversation with them that makes them feel peaceful about doing the listing process, but taking the burden off their shoulders. What does that look like? How I'm going to assist you, like make that come true, because you were entertaining the idea. There wasn't a match, but there is a match for you. And let's make it simple. And I think that's key to your language and the way that you talk to people, Wendy, too, is that fun and simple. Like, let's just make this fun and simple. And just like you said, it's easy to list your house. Like, she's like, okay, well, if she says it's easy, it's easy. Like, and then you're like, just go camping for the weekend. Okay, well, camping sounds fun. Let's do that. So just that simple suggestion. Like I always say, people right now, especially in our climate now, suffer massively from decision fatigue. Like you almost need to give them like, this is what you need to do by simplifying the process and just giving them 2 choices and not listing. And that's a problem sometimes is we go in and we just like tell them everything that we can do for them. We don't stop to take a breath. We don't allow to listen to them, and then offer them simple choices. Because you can do a favor for somebody right now who's suffering from decision fatigue by giving them 2 simple choices. Hey, I could do this, or we could do this. What will work best for you? And you've actually done them a favor.
I noticed that with the AI, the chat, it's one question at a time. Because if they ask more than one, they only answer one.
People don't have the capacity for questions. So they say the human being has the attention span of less than a goldfish scientifically now. And that's why people go to so much work. And that's why our Facebook ads work. They're set up so simple, and it asks a simple question, which garnishes a simple response. And we go to so much work to try to explain so much that we get ignored. It becomes too noisy. People pass by it in their feed. So straight from that simple question into simple conversations with simple back and forth conversations. That's how we build relationship, is we ask questions and we listen, and we ask another question and we listen, and we provide simple alternatives.
Yeah.
I love that you bring that up. I love that you bring that up with all the questions, because I see it so often in people's follow-up. Like, they get so excited to have like a lead, and they're all, they come in and then it's like this like barrage of like, well, tell me about yourself and your house, and how many renovations have you done, and da 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 da, how long have you owned it, and it's just like, whoa, okay, cool. I didn't know I was going to get this, as opposed to just asking like one simple question, as Ira says, and being a question that actually is a little bit more casual. Right, because this, with StreetText, we deal with Facebook leads, right? So they're loaded up on, this person's on their news feed, just surfing, and then they see your ad and they click on it, and then all of a sudden they get like an email from you with a bazillion questions. Well, I don't know you yet, like, so asking a nice, simple question that's easy to respond to, that is almost non-committal. It's just kind of, hey, just like, and even using that language, hey, I see that you clicked on my ad, and you're interested in your home value. By the way, what do you love most about your home that you feel would affect its value? Well, that's an easy question to ask.
Right.
It's not super probing.
Yeah, they ask about renovations and upgrades and like immediately, and then people love to talk about their home and their stuff, and it's so funny. Yeah. Do you have,
or even what they don't like? That's the other thing.
Counter in my kitchen. Oh, you're definitely gonna get more then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question.
So Wendy, let's flip this on its head for a second. So we've basically talked about the value that we're bringing to a seller, and we've talked about, hey, we're helping this buyer out as well, because they're an FHA buyer. They've lost 7 offers, and now they're with you. But are you using this as a value proposition? So if I came in as a lead, are you telling them about this program? I don't know if this program has a name in your business or not, but are you telling about, hey, by the way, we got this really cool matchmaker program, if that's something that might benefit you? Because here's the thing, and I'm sure you've experienced it, and a lot of our viewers are experiencing it. We're losing buyers sometimes because they get fatigue, offer fatigue. I don't even know what we call it, but they're out there and they blame us, right? Like, it's not our fault. Most of the agents do a good job and show the house and do this thing. If you're competing against 45 people, you got a 1 in 45 chance. It's just math. So are you bringing this up as an opportunity to, say, hey, I want to work with Wendy because she's got this really cool program? And what does that look like for our viewers?
Yeah, I have not actually brought that up to buyers. Although I should. Definitely. We'll have to incorporate that like now, but yeah, the buyers do come in, and that would be a great tool to tell them about. I mean, everybody, and that's funny because we get so many buyers clicking on our ads, even though they're seller ads, just because they want to sell, or they want someone that has listings, so they want. I see people calling thinking, you're the listing agent, on all the realtor.com and Zillow and everything, because they want to work directly with you, because they want to make sure their offer gets accepted. So it would actually work really well with them. So
Yeah, you know, for those of you watching, if you're going to make a map like Wendy has, what a cool thing to send your client. Hey, by the way, go here and take a look at this map. We actually have potential off-market properties here, 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 and here, and you know, nobody else has those. And you know, it's all about being different and offering a value. And you know, why not take that and capture those people? It's a great way to get a buyer agency agreement signed. I don't know. I know a lot of places don't use buyer agency agreements, but hey, if you sign our buyer agency agreement, I'll give you access to our off-market properties because I want to make sure that you're working with me and only me, and you know, that type of thing. You might not want to use that exact scripting, but it's an opportunity to look at this and say, how can I? And my job is to find you a house. And you know, for the past 5 years until 12 months ago, our job wasn't to find houses anymore, right? Our job was to go show the houses because everybody had all the inventory anyway. Guess what? It flipped. It's our job to find them a house now. And I think this is a great way to do that. So with that in mind, you know, there's probably people watching going, well, I don't have 1,000 StreetText leads in here, but I'll also suggest, and I'd love to hear from Troy and Ira and you too, Wendy, you know, let's think about this. The market is going to shift, right? This is not the eternal market. Anybody who's been doing this for any length of times realizes 6, 12, I don't know the number, it's going to shift. But how do we use this same strategy moving forward? And how can we grab more market share by doing that? I think might be a great subject for us to talk about as we move forward.
I
Love to
think
hear from you.
yeah, I think one of the things you always have to be doing, and it's what we forget to do, is fill our funnel. Like we forget to make a funnel and we forget to fill the funnel. And then when we get busy, we stop filling the funnel. And then when we need the leads, then we start filling the funnel again. But the problem is your 90 days that are going to happen in front of you in the next 90 days are going to be your greatest predictor for the 90 days that follow that 90 days. And sometimes with lead generation, and we're extravagant creatures in this like industry. Like we like fun, we like flashy, we like immediate results. And sometimes when we don't get immediate results, we abandon strategies before we actually get to see the outcome, the fruit of that. We had a mastermind recently, and I talked about it, like planting seeds in the ground. And if you kept, as you're planting those seeds, if you kept going and digging the seed up to see if it was growing, you would never have a plant. But that's what we do. We do the lead comes in on Facebook. We start the conversation. It doesn't go exactly where we want to. We keep digging up the seed. We say it's not working. We start retilling the garden, but we don't have consistent plans that happen on a daily basis that nurture that funnel to see the results that we want. It's your daily actionable steps that are going to lead to the future success. So, I mean, Wendy is an example. She's busy. She's got a team. She's going like crazy. She is always on our masterminds. And you just heard her say, I haven't been doing that. I should be doing that. I'm going to implement that now. Do you know what Wendy actually does? She implements it. Like she takes something and she adds it to the funnel. So sometimes you don't. And Jasha, I saw that she's on here. And she's like, I'm really overwhelmed by this, but I'm excited about all of this when I've had some conversations with her. And I said, well, stop comparing yourself to Wendy and Jennifer and Janky and all of these juggernauts, because they started where you started, completely overwhelmed. They started their funnel by running their first StreetText ad, seeing a lead come in going, crap, now what do I do? What do I do with this? And then about a month and a half worth of a lot of work and a lot of like pain in the butt moments, they were like, is this even worth it? Like, what am I doing? But then they stuck it out and they slowly layered this process where now it's just part of their day. I get up in the morning, I'm feeding my funnel, I'm nurturing my funnel, adding value. And I know, like Wendy, her first lead that came in during StreetText during her trial, she just left our mastermind on Wednesday to go list this house. That's more than a year later, but there's been successes in between that. So I think the key is you filling your funnel is something that you always have to be doing, and you have to implement the daily habits to have that as part of your routine. That's your future successes.
Right. Yeah. The key is too, I mean, StreetText builds an amazing funnel for you, which that's what I loved, because it's just like, I don't have time to build a funnel, but I did have to make time to humanize the funnel. So I took a whole weekend and I like did my hair different on each video and changed my clothes, you know, I didn't want people to think that I did all my videos in one day, did them in different spots, and because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to do this stuff every day. I mean, there is no way I could sit there and make sure that this goes out to this person and this goes out to this person. And, it's 6 months later, they're still getting emails and texts from me and I'm not doing anything, but I know that, I humanized it enough to where it doesn't sound like a robot. So that is like the key. I want people to, get to know me before they get to know me. And then, so all of that is really, really important. But, and then HomeBot, we implement HomeBot. So obviously they're seeing me once a month there. And yeah, even if you're not doing follow-ups perfectly, which you should be, but not everybody is because we're all busy, it's doing it for you. So yeah, and I get more response on that 6 month, just simple. There's no video, there's no links. It just says, your home value has changed. You want to know how much your home is worth now? And people are like, yeah, what's it look like now? And it's like, oh my gosh, they actually are getting my emails because, so many times they either go to spam or they don't respond. And, you forget because they just keep coming in, from your ads, and you just got to keep up on them. And then pretty soon they'll reach out, or you can reach out. So
there's two things in there that I think are key for a strategy in any type of market, no matter where it goes, no matter how it changes, is a little bit to what we were leading to at the very beginning of the webinar, right? There's lots of tools out there. There's lots of things that you can use. StreetText is one of those tools, of course. There's HomeBot that Wendy mentioned, and a zillion other, Google Maps and all of that stuff. They're all tools. But where is your personality in that tool? Where are you trying to make it a lot more relationable? Where are people going to meet with you and see that personality on the other side of it? Because that's also where you're playing that matchmaker. And you kind of mentioned that, you're matchmaking yourself with them, right? And they might not like your personality, so they're going to move on to somebody else. That's okay. You probably wouldn't have gelled anyway, right? But at least get them to see that, because are you somebody that I can know, like, and trust? Are you somebody that I actually want to do a transaction with? Are you somebody that actually cares about my needs and is going to find me a home? Right. So that's a key. So whatever you can do with those tools to inject that, however you write, however the language is in, in your emails or in your text messages, even on the phone, using tools such as video so they can see you just like this, where they can actually see your personality. They can understand a lot more. There's so much more you can convey just by saying a few words and people actually seeing your body language. And then what is the value that you bring? What is the value that you're going to bring on a consistent basis? Because if you're always bringing value, the market could shift, but you can bring value in a different way. And, your 6 month email offering, if they would like an updated value, that brings value, right? They're going, well, yeah, I'd like that. And they're just tapping into this service that you offer, and you bring that to them. Even reaching out, be like, hey, I realize you may not be ready to sell your home, but if you ever need recommendations to do any renovations, or your plumbing blows up and you need a good plumber, just let me know. I have a great list of people that I vetted and I can vouch for, right? Value, all of those little things, however you can do that, that is going to weather any market, right? That's the end of it, right? And then, as Ira was saying, it's just filling up that funnel. And we saw it very much last year. This whole thing, COVID shows up on the scene, and a lot of people turned off their ads. They didn't want to generate leads. They weren't sure where everything, so they kind of went and hid in the hole. Wendy didn't. She just kept those on, and she kept those leads coming through, and and now she doesn't have to pay catch up, right? Because she's got a huge database of people to work with. She's got that funnel that's full, right? And she's just building relationship with them, and she's providing value.
Awesome. So, and Troy, I'll piggyback on everything you just said. And this is the thing that I've heard Wendy say, and you said it the same way. It's just small, consistent action over time. That's all this is, right? The street text is the funnel, the thing that helps you build the funnel, and then it's slow, consistent action over time. And I wanted to mention, and I know you guys we wanted to know that there's a 7-day free trial for this. Anybody who's watching, please look in the chat, and I'll just read it in case you don't. It's just StreetText.com/start/trial, and you guys will give a 7-day free trial. And let's talk about that real quick so that they can understand what that is. That's not just you get to plug. What do you guys get with that 7-day trial? Because honestly, it's a lot, in my opinion. I think it's something we want to make sure that people understand what that trial really is.
Yeah, we're just really going to give you access to our dashboard and help you understand how to use our ad template simply. The Facebook Ads Manager is the labyrinth of frustration and confusion. So we really say that trial is about you grasping how easy it is to set up a Facebook ad, split test it within 24 hours, pick your most engaging and best audience, leave that ad on. And we say trial is about you seeing the concept of how everything works. You get access to the texting and the funnels, but you're not going to build that out until you commit to the process. Membership is like, once you see that these ads actually work, that I can fill my funnel simply using Facebook ads, and I can kind of do it myself simply. Then membership is about coming on our masterminds with Wendy and all these other people that are sharing, like, this is what I'm doing with these leads. And you feed off of their excitement. On the day when you sent 15,000 messages out and didn't get a response initially, you come on and you hear from somebody who had some success, and you just keep plugging away at the stuff that you know is going to pay off. So we'll be able to introduce you to all of those little things.
And do you get a coach during that time also, Ira, if you want?
For sure. So we don't want you to get lost in that labyrinth of frustration and confusion. So you're assigned a StreetText coach, and we help you get introduced to all the resources and get good success with that ad, and tell you, hey, you've landed on something great. This is what you can expect. And here's all the resources we can get you connected to.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because sometimes we get overwhelmed, not because we're not smart people, because we have so much information coming in. Talk to these guys. They're going to do it. They're going to help you set it all up for you, and they're going to teach you how to use this. And the mastermind, I think, is really key, because people like Wendy and there, Jennifer, and some of the other people that we've talked about. And here's one of my favorite things to do is you rip off and deploy. Wendy's done some great stuff. You put your own spin on it, but copy what she's an abundant person. She's in that mastermind. She's sharing. And that's what this thing is all about. It's a community, and not every lead source is a community. And that's one of the things that's great about StreetText is it's a community. You guys are out there sharing, and you have coaches, and it's not just we're taking your money and hoping you don't forget to unsubscribe. We're coaching you, we're training you, we're helping you. And that's what StreetText probably sets apart from a lot of these other things. We're not going to, they're not going to be left alone. So anyway, we've been told that we've got just a couple of minutes left, and I would love to just hear any final thoughts from you guys, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to say that the masterminds are huge. There are so many brilliant people in there, and like, I learn something every time I hop on. I make sure that it's in my calendar so that I'm there because if there's something new, I want to do it. I want to try it, if it's working. So yeah, definitely if you're using StreetText or want to use StreetText, those Wednesdays are key. So
absolutely. Thanks.
And you'll build like Wendy does. She said on one of them. So she's like, someone's like, well, what do you do? What's your order? What's your process? And she's like, I think I do this. And it's because she's implemented so much that it's working so automatically in the background that she's not thinking about it every day. She's too busy running. I saw the Facebook post for running signs from one neighbor's lawn to another neighbor's lawn. She's too busy doing that. And she has all of that stuff that she's
and those can be retargeted. Like, they help you, StreetText helps you retarget those ads that come in, which is huge. So like, I went to a listing and they're like, are you going to bring your mobile she shed and finish my home? I'm like, absolutely. And it's just so funny that they know that, because they saw the retarget of the StreetText, the mobile she shed that I have. But, it's all about being different. And if I have something like that, I want to share it with them again so that they're, but it's funny that they brought that up. I'm like, I absolutely will.
That's awesome.
So good stuff.
Cool. Troy, any final thoughts before we close out?
No, I mean, I can jump on the last of that. Even here, for those of you who've been on the webinar, where we've shared some stuff, Wendy sharing, we love our community, and that's the biggest thing. Nobody holds their cards close to their chest. They're willing to help each other out, and you know, and there's a lot of stuff like it. And even in general, like you can attend webinars all over the place. LabCoat provides lots of great stuff. If you feel overwhelmed, just take one little golden nugget and then apply it and see how that goes. And then take one little bit and take another little bit and take a little bit. And the next thing you know, you'll just be that much further ahead. So that's always the biggest key and biggest key takeaway. And that's what we love about our community is they provide those gold nuggets and the others all get to implement, and then they get to polish that and make it even better and run away with it. And it's really fun to see what comes back and out of that.
Awesome. So I'll say again, StreetText.com/start/trial. It's in the chat for those of you who are watching us live. And, you know, try it for 7 days. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to learn something. You're going to get to meet some great people. And then also, if you miss this webinar, please do not worry. It's being recorded and it's available on our YouTube channel. And also, please subscribe. If you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you everybody again for being on today. Great information, Wendy. Always abundant, always sharing. We really appreciate you. Troy and Ira, thank you so much for being on today. And once again, thanks everybody in Lab Coats for joining us today. It's great, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks everybody.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day. Bye.